All right, we're going to take some of your questions now. I'm going to ask Matt Staver to join me. We've got Rick up in the studio, and we've had a few questions come in. And Matt, I'm going to ask this question. I'm going to start with you. It says, my church hasn't yet experienced any cases like the ones you've just mentioned, earlier we talked about. What is the likelihood that something will happen in the near future?
Absolutely 100%. There's no question about it. Every single person, particularly on the issue of human sexuality and the same-sex marriage agenda, will have to make a decision. Every pastor, every church, tax exemption, property tax exemption, use of your facilities, zoning, all of these different areas are going to be affected.
So it's not really if, it's simply when.
Just a matter of when. There's no question about that.
I mean, as we saw earlier where we had football coach, we had a student, we had a sheriff. I mean, just every walk of life. There's no area that's immune from this attack.
You know, unlike abortion, which we've had since 1973, and we've slaughtered 57 million children, until the recent Obamacare mandate, we haven't been forced to be complicit in it.
Yeah.
We've been able to essentially ignore it oftentimes. But this issue of the definition of marriage and the so-called LGBT agenda is very coercive. They're not content with you being silent. They want you to be participating and promoting.
But it's not limited to just that issue. As
No,
we've seen
it's
with
not.
these other groups, these atheist groups like the Freedom from Religion Foundation, have aggressively been targeting communities, small communities, limited budgets, going in saying, if you allow students to pray or you do this, we're going to sue you, and a lot of times they capitulate.
No question. Whatever it is in your community, directly your church is going to be affected, but your community is going to be affected. Right. From the Freedom from Religion Foundation to the ACLU, they're sending out letters intimidating small towns to stop prayer at football games, to stop invocations, to stop any kind of display of nativity scenes, and it goes on and on and on. It really is a bulldozer to
Right.
any of our religious faith and heritage.
And here's the good news. And I want to remind you of this, folks, out there across the country, your church, you hear something in your community, let us know. Because there are attorneys and organizations like Matt's, like Liberty Counsel and others that are willing, ready, and able to defend you in those communities. And 9 times out of 10, we win when we simply stand up and fight.
Yeah, if we don't show up, we're going to lose automatically. But if we're there, we can certainly have a very good chance of winning.
All right, Rick, I'm going to bring you in here. A question we had come in says, and as a former pastor and one who actually led your congregation in engagement in the community because what was happening in your schools, it says, what are some ways a church can help one of its members that has their freedom to believe infringed upon?
Well, what they've got to do is rally around that member and not only pray for them, and I don't want to say that in a way that makes it sound like that's insignificant. They must be praying for them, but they need to also, when necessary, step up with financial assistance.
Yes.
Satan right now is literally having his day in our country. The word that Matt said just a moment ago, intimidation, is his chief tool. But I want to remind all the believers out there that God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. There are multiple groups like Matt Staver's Liberty Counsel and others that will come alongside and assist with the litigation if it calls for that. But we need to also be willing to open our checkbooks and write big checks when necessary so that these believers are not isolated or standing alone.
Right.
That empowers them to fight the good fight.
That's a great word of encouragement because, folks, that's exactly what happens. Someone gets attacked, they feel isolated, and people begin to back away from them. And you know, the weight of that, the emotional, and not to mention the financial in some cases. So absolutely, we need to rally around them, support them financially, support them emotionally. And when we stand together, when we lock arms and we stand for that first freedom, and we stand for the truth, we'll prevail and we'll reach and encourage others. Matt, thanks so much for being here today and being a part of this. Folks, keep the questions coming in. We're going to have some more times of Q&A. Again, questions at frc.org, or you can tweet them in at FRC.